Now let's see how we can implement this object pool design pattern. So let's go over the steps we need to take to achieve this. First, we need to prepare the object pool. So we instantiate a certain amount of objects, and after that we deactivate all of these objects. We don't want the player to see them at the start of the game. They should be hidden and deactivated somewhere else, so he doesn't realize they're there. And after that, we save them into a collection, like an array or a queue. You could also save them in a list. And once we've done that, it just lies there, okay? And as soon as the object is then needed, instead of instantiating a new one, we just use one of the objects from the pool and we activate it. And when the object is no longer needed, instead of destroying it, we deactivate it and put it back into the pool so that at a later time it can be reused for anything else. Now let's look how we can do this in code. So first we need to initialize the pool. And I've written this method here, initPool, and it has one parameter which determines how many objects we want to pool. And what we do first is we create a list of game objects. 80% of the time you're going to pool game objects in Unity, but you really can pool anything. Also, it doesn't have to be a list. You could also use an array or a queue, but we'll get into more detail on this in a later video. For now, we just do the most basic and most simple implementation, which is with a list. And yeah, once we've created this list, we just use a for loop to fill the list with many objects. So in this case, we just instantiate a new object which we want to pool. This is just a reference to a prefab that we want to instantiate here. For example, a bullet or something. And once this is instantiated, we add it into the pool. And after that, we set it to inactive, so it isn't visible to the user. You could also do some other things here, like renaming it and putting it somewhere in the hierarchy, but I just wanted to keep it simple here. And once we've done that, we can then get and return objects to the pool. So first of all, we don't want to instantiate new objects now. Instead, we want to get the objects from the object pool. So we just write this get object from object pool method. And in this case, I also added two parameters, a position and a rotation. So I can directly after getting it from the pool, immediately set it to a position and a rotation, just like the instantiate method would do. So the first thing, we save the last entry of the list into a new variable. I call it here new bullet, and I set it to active. And after that, I set its position and its rotation, and I remove it from the pool because it's no longer a fresh object which can be retrieved from the pool. It's already in use, so it's not available, okay? And after we've removed it from the list, we return it. So we can use this just like the normal instantiate method, basically. And when this object then is no longer needed, we don't destroy it, we put it back into pool. And that's why I've created another method here. It's called return object to pool. And it has a parameter, which is a game object. And this parameter is just the object you want to return to the pool. And we first set it to inactive, and then we add it back into the pool. That's everything you need. That's the design pattern, basically. If you then want to use this object pool, you would do it like the following. So first I'll show you how you would do it without a pool manager. So you first have this object that you want to spawn. Usually this is a prefab. Then you call the instantiate method. This instantiates a new object. This causes quite some performance issues. And if you no longer need it, you call destroy and destroy the object again. And this leads to even more performance issues because it causes garbage, and this garbage needs to be collected by the garbage collector, and the garbage collector leads to frame drops every few seconds, which is one of the worst kinds of things you want to have in your game. All right, so far so good. Now let's see how we can do this with the pool manager. So instead of a reference to a prefab which we want to spawn, we have a reference to an object pool. And if we want to instantiate this new bullet, we then use the ObjectPool.getObjectFromPool method. And you can see I implemented this to be very, very similar to the instantiate method. So it's no big difference to use. And if we then no longer need it, we call ObjectPool.returnObjectToPool, which is also very similar to the destroy method here. So yeah, and this destroys the object. It really doesn't really destroy it, it just deactivates it and lets it be able to be used at a later time. And this is really all there is to know about the basic implementation of this design pattern. I hope you learned something in this video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the comment section below. Also, if you want to learn how to create a rewind/undo mechanic with this design pattern, head over to my design patterns course over at Udemy. There I dive far deeper into the topic and give you access to top quality exercises. If that sounds interesting, make sure to follow the link in the description below. The first 100 subscribers get a discount on the course. Anyways, see you in the next video.